Good evening, everybody. Welcome to late night racing for round 15 of the championship and the final traditional European round of the season at the Temple of Speed, the Autodromo Nazionale Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. Expect some crazy overtakes, expect some fast action for what is time-wise going to be the shortest race on the calendar. 27 laps, but of course, as always, a one-shot qualifying session to decide who will be on pole position. If you weren't with us last week, it was a good victory in the end for Gelato, taking the win. Haas having a fantastic performance as well, with Paulie Orange coming home in second place, Alan in third, and that has promoted Alan up into second in the championship, 3 points ahead of Andenge, but crucially 35 points off Jonathan Cox. The AlphaTauri driver hasn't won since Canada, but we'll have to wait and see if he can put on a good performance tonight in a track that in some ways does carry similarities with the Canadian circuit, the long straights and heavy braking zones. And as I mentioned, this is the fastest circuit on the calendar. We do seem to be having a few connection issues. Hopefully, we'll be able to get it sorted soon. It does look like Treminator is having one or two problems getting into the lobby. Fingers crossed, as I said, fingers crossed everything will work okay soon and we will be able to get underway, although it would not surprise me at all if we do end up with a restart. If you've not watched late night racing before, as I said, one-shot qualifying and then the half-distance 27-lap race that works out to be around here. The scoring system, roughly the same as real Formula 1 with a couple of important differences. One of them differences being 4 points for pole position as long as you get to the finish, so qualifying very important, and also a point for the fastest lap, again if you get to the finish, not just for the top 10. And it does look as though we are actually restarting the lobby, which is a bit of a shame that we are having to restart, because hopefully Terminator does leave, otherwise we will have to restart the stream once again, and I don't really want to go through this introduction for a second time, so hopefully Terminator does leave, or we get ourselves another invite and we will be able to get underway for this race. So, as I mentioned, Jonathan Cox leading the championship at the moment, but hasn't won for a while, and he has said good evening to us in the chat, so good evening. Hope you're looking forward to a good race for yourself. As I mentioned, one of the most historic tracks in Formula 1. First used for motor racing nearly 100 years ago. Much changed since then, but one thing that hasn't changed is the high-speed nature of the track. Extremely fast, extremely dangerous back in the day. It was as well. Many, many huge crashes around here. Perhaps most tragically, 1961, Wolfgang van Trips being involved in quite a heavy accident here that claimed his life and the life of many spectators, as well as he was battling for the championship with his teammate. Main places to watch for overtaking, obviously the two DRS zones, very important as well, on the main pit straight into the first chicane, the Rettifilio chicane, and coming through the second DRS straight into Ascari. We are going to quit the session, as I do believe we should soon hopefully receive another invite to a session, and that will hopefully be able to get us underway for this race. And let us know who you guys think is going to take the victory, who is going to win around this track. Jonathan Cox, we said, has done very well around Canada, where it was his last victory. Other drivers that have done well, who was it who won at Austria? Was it Gelato, I believe? It was Gelato, wasn't it, who won the last race I commentated on back in Austria, with a fantastic performance he put in there. And again, that is another circuit where you have the long straights and the heavy braking zones. We mentioned the two DRS zones into the Rettifilio and Ascari chicanes, the Roggia chicane as well, coming out of Curva Grande. Always a possibility to overtake into there. If you don't quite get it done into the first chicane, quite often you can see moves happen there, and you will see cars going side by side. It looks like we are getting another lobby open again, so we'll use all this time just to go through what the championship standings are then at the moment. With 14 rounds gone, 8 rounds still to go including tonight's. Jonathan Coxen has 206 points, Alan 171, and Denge 168. Total Peas, who was totally dominant, really, at the start of the season. Things just don't seem to have gone well for him lately. He's still well in the hunt, though, 4th on 52 points. And then you've got Paulie Orange, 143, FTH, 140, Gelato, 116, Cruxy, 92, Energetics, 81, and One Ole, 77. Those are the top 10. In the Constructors' Championship, Haas looking fairly comfortable at the moment, you have to say. 314 points for them. AlphaTauri on 220. Williams currently third on 211 points. Well, of course, getting a 2-3 last time out with Alan and Paulie Orange performing quite well for them there. Hopefully, we will be underway soon. You can see the rules. One-shot qualifying, 50% race, and equal qualifying. Equal performance league here. Safety car on, full vehicle damage. Dynamic weather can always cause issues around this circuit. Can be very tricky indeed. Quite often you see rain. Let's not forget 2008 race. Famously, Sebastian Vettel taking the victory in 2008 in the Toro Rosso. The only time in Formula 1 history, this is quite an interesting fact, the only time in Formula 1 history that a customer Ferrari team has won a Formula 1 race. Every other race that a Ferrari engine has won, it has been in the back of the Ferrari F1 car. That is the only time we have seen a customer Ferrari engine win a race. I believe we have now got most of the drivers back into the lobby. I think we're just waiting for Fatality to pick his car. You can see the drivers we've got tonight. Ones to watch out for. Gelato, we know he's in such good form at the moment. Could well take the championship. Well, could well have took the championship perhaps if he'd have been there since the start of the season. He's only 90 points off the top at the moment. But unless we start seeing some slip-ups from those towards the top, probably just a bit too far behind to really have any realistic chance. Other ones, obviously Jonathan, as the championship leader, shows great consistency all season long. Last time out, finished in 4th position. Always seems to be there or thereabouts. Can he end up taking a victory here today to really give himself a chance in this championship? And Denge as well, he'll be looking for some good performance, as will both of the Haas cars. We're just waiting then on Fatality to get into his chosen car, and then we will be underway for this race around Italy. One-shot qualifying first. It was dry last time around for the qualifying session, so it'll be interesting to see if anyone is going to choose what the weather is going to be like. Will we set the weather at dry? Will we keep it at dynamic? Definitely looks like we are keeping it at dynamic then. Any predictions for this race? I predicted we'll have a bit of carnage. You always do around this circuit. Things always happen. Plenty of overtakes. Very low downforce. The most low downforce track on the calendar. The only places you really need that downforce pushing you down slightly through Ascavi and Parabolica and the Lesmos as well. A lot more about mechanical grip and just pure straight line speed. We're all getting ready then for this race to get underway. There we go. Italy multiplayer, one-shot qualifying, 27 laps of the race. It'll be over in about 40 minutes. Blink and you miss it. This is going to be one I watch. Jonathan Cox hoping for dry weather, as I think every single leader of the championship, except maybe perhaps Lewis Hamilton, and maybe actually most leaders of championships, Schumacher and Senna and Hamilton didn't mind when the forecast said it was wet. Quite often those towards the top don't mind a dry race, whereas everyone else is itching at the bit and hoping that they just get an opportunity of having some wet weather just to spice things up ever so slightly. This is going to be one to watch. This is going to be a very important qualifying session as well. You'd think a track like this, overtaking is fairly straightforward. Not necessarily. DRS trains are quite important around here, so overtaking into Rettifilio and Ascari, while on paper, should be fairly straightforward, especially Rettifilio. Quite often you do see the Roggia chicane, that second chicane being the point where we see the overtakes happen. So, without further ado, let's get underway for this qualifying session. Let's see who we are going to be going on board with as all the drivers just picking their setups. Now you can see the dusk conditions. That is why it is called late night racing. It is going to be full dry qualifying, obviously. We do know we get changeable weather in the UK, but even on Formula 1 games, the weather's not going to change in the space of 80 seconds. Dry qualifying, a dry race as well. Should be a fairly straightforward then one-stop strategy for all the drivers. Tyre wear, not really at a massive premium around here on the front tyres. It's more the rear tyres that take a bit of a hammering through the traction zones, especially. So we now just wait for Energetic 6 to, hopefully that's him picking his setup. And we're going to go on board then with Andenge, the man currently third in the championship, hoping to work his way up. Flat out, DRS open as you cross the finish line, heading towards that first chicane, the Curve di Rettifilio. Heavy on the brakes there, down towards second gear, turning in rear, just trying to step out ever so slightly as he flew through the second part of that chicane. Then flat on the throttle once again, pedal to the metal as you head towards Curva Grande. Straight through there, expect to see some too-wide action. And then again, heavy on the brakes as you go under the bridge for the Roggier chicane, left and right. Don't be too greedy on that curve as it can throw you towards the gravel trap. Number 2, Lesmo's. Lesmo 1, not as wide and not as open as it used to be, but it is very easy to get it wrong coming out there. Second Lesmo, need to be careful. DRS open once again as you head downhill ever so slightly, passing underneath the old banking on the old Monza circuit towards the Ascari chicane. Left, right, and then left again. Avoid that curve on the inside as it can send your car spinning towards the barrier, as I think has probably happened there with Cruxy and Energetic 6 both retiring from the session. And Denge down in 15th at the moment. Can he gain anything as he flies his way through Parabolica in that Williams, straighten up the car as early as possible towards the finish line? What time's it going to be for Andenge? He can only go 16th. And it is Jonathan Cox in the Haas who goes fastest. Might get himself 4 bonus points for that, as long as he finishes the race with a great time. 118.763. Championship leader Jonathan Cox is in second as we just wait for Berg to come across the line. He must have had a mistake on his lap somewhere, so he comes across the line in 17th. But it is Paulie Orange on pole position with the championship leader Jonathan Cox alongside him. Gelato in third, the top 3 all within a tenth of a second. Droftas not too far behind either in fourth. Then a bit of a big gap to KRC and Alan in 5th and 6th. Ole, Fatality, Immortal and Mars rounding out the top 10. Gods just over a second outside of the top 10. Etheridge is 12th. Lost Souls 13th on the medium tyres. Not a bad lap whatsoever. Treminator was 14th. Noble 15th. And then 16th. Berg making a mistake on his lap, but at least he got to the end of it. That's more than can be said for Cruxy and Energetic 6. Both of them, by the looks of things, going off through Ascari. So we've got Paulie Orange in the lead. Championship leader Jonathan Cox second. And I've mentioned it a few times already. I'm going to say it again. Hasn't had a race victory since the Canadian Grand Prix. Hasn't had a race win since round 9 of the season. But he's still leading the championship, and he won't mind too much if the race finished like it did there with Paulie Orange taking the victory. And Denge way back and Alan sort of in the middle of a points. Would not be a bad performance whatsoever from Jonathan Cox's point of view if that's how the race finishes. Long way to go though. Drivers now making any changes to their strategy that they want to make. Top 10 obviously having to start on the soft tyres. We might see some mix-up outside the top 10. Other changes they're allowed to make since the last update, as well as front wing changes. You are able to make a few more differential changes to your car just to maybe give yourself a bit of stability. It's alright having an unstable car that you can drive fast with over 1 lap. Can you keep that stability up over 27 laps is quite a different thing. Modern Formula 1, parc fermé conditions coming in at the start of qualifying, not like it used to be 20 or so years ago, where you could pretty much race an entirely different car between qualifying and the race if you really wanted to, and not get punished whatsoever. Soft to medium, soft to hard, that will be the strategy. I imagine we see most of the field going for top 10. We knew were on the softs. The bottom 7 drivers have gone for the mediums. Gods and Irids have gone for the soft tyres. It'll be interesting to see now what Andenge can do. Didn't look like it was a bad qualifying lap from the Williams driver. Third in the championship at the moment. Quite often a regular visitor to the podium this season, and of course that is why he's third in the championship. Didn't look like a bad lap at any point, so whether he's just gone for a more higher downforce setup, that might cost him quite a lot in this race. It might give him the stability that he needs, but perhaps not that one lap pace that he would have wanted. And there is the man currently leading the championship. He will still be in the lead at the end of tonight. The most points he can get in one night is 30. He's more than 30 points ahead. He's 35 ahead of Alan, and we know Paulie Orange has just helped Haas perhaps extend their championship lead ever so slightly to a provisional 98 points with that pole position. If, and it is a big if around this circuit, we do see quite a few incidents, if he can get to the end of the race. As long as he does that, he's got himself a bonus 4 points, and for a man who is currently going into tonight 63 points off the championship lead, those bonus points could be oh so crucial. Don't write him out yet for taking a victory in this championship. Will it, though, get to a point, if he has a couple of bad races, if Alan scores a few more points, or maybe even vice versa, will it get to the point where we start seeing the Haas boys having to pick which one of them goes for that Drivers' Championship? They look safe for the Constructors. The drivers might be a bit close. Could we see some Alonso Hamilton-esque action between them later on in the season? We'll have to wait and see. Plenty more races to go, of course, following the original 2020 Formula 1 calendar. Singapore next, and Russia, Japan, America, Mexico, Brazil finishing in the UAE on the 6th of February. Quite a long way to go, though, till there. Plenty more racing still underway. Let's see who is going to take the victory here, as we're just waiting for all the cars to line up onto the grid. We wait for the lights to come on here at Monza. Who is going to take the victory, as we have 5 lights? And we are underway. It's a fairly even start between the front two. If anything, Jonathan Cox has got a slightly better second phase of the start. Gelato trying to squeeze his way in between them, but it's Jonathan Cox on the inside for the Rettifilio. He has the lead of this race. Big tap from KRC on the back of someone there. We've got Fatality, Alan and Immortal all getting penalties in these early stages, and we have a virtual safety car already. VSC straight away. We've got a few more penalties coming in there as well. Immortal, big front wing damage. And evening to you, George, and it's fair to say that was quite a exciting start. I promised there'd be some action. Was not expecting that much in the early stages. Jonathan Cox leading this race, Orange in second, and Denge now getting a 5-second penalty. It is all kicking off here. I mean, Immortal's already got 10 seconds of penalties, but we're back to green flag action anyway already. Gelato trying to get back onto the back of Paulie Orange. Berg there getting one for ignoring yellow flags. 6 drivers with penalties at the end of lap 1 has to be some sort of record for what I have seen on a Formula 1 game. But Jonathan Cox still in the lead of this race, and Paulie Orange in second. Gods and Etheridge battling for 10th and 11th at the moment. Alan, has he got any damage at all? I'm just wondering. Yeah, big front wing damage. Explains why he's dropped such a long way behind Fatality. He'll be coming into the pits. A nightmare for the two main championship rivals at the moment of Jonathan Cox, because Andenge has got a penalty, and we've seen there Alan with big damage and also a penalty. DRS is not enabled. It will be enabled next time around. Jonathan Cox still in the lead, then Paulie Orange second, Gelato in third. KRC has dropped down to 5th place behind Drogdas. KRC did give a slight tap to the back of Paulie Orange. Nearly spent the Haas driver spinning. Thankfully, though, he was able to carry on unharmed. We've got Lost Souls now getting a penalty for speeding in the pit lane. There's going to be a lot of penalties in this race at this rate, and that is going to cause all sorts of problems later on, especially if there is any late safety cars for whatever reason. Penalties doubly costly in a situation like that. Mediums for Etheridge, Alan and Treminator, so they're definitely coming into the pits again. Hard tyres on Lost Sorrows in that Williams, so he might be thinking, can I get towards the end on those tyres? Not the best run there for Gelato through the Ascari chicane. You can see Drogda straight away underneath the rear wing, but because they have such thin rear wings at this circuit, slipstream not as big of an effect. It means dirty air's not as much of an effect either, and it means DRS perhaps not effective as it is at other circuits, and next time they come around through Parabolica they will be able to activate DRS. But on to lap 3, Paulie Orange, fastest lap of the race, Droftas kicks to taking that in the Alfa Romeo, 122.096. These front 6 drivers all in the DRS train at the moment. Then you've got Fatality a bit further back, as is Mars. Andenge into the pits then in the Williams. Andenge comes into the pits. We'll have to wait and see where he comes out later on. Has he got any damage, or is he just serving his 5-second penalty now? And it does look as though a team already with... We can't see absolutely anything from that angle, if I'm being honest. So very helpful from the camera crew. We'll see from the speed of the pit stop though. Yeah, it does sound like a front wing change for Andenge, so I wonder if he's picked up any damage somewhere on lap 1. He will drop way down the order, just behind his teammate. By the looks of things, it's going to be very close between the two Williams, as down in 17th and 18th at the moment, and unfortunately that is a position we are now used to in real Formula 1, seeing the Williams drivers. We're looking back though from our race leader, Jonathan Cox. You can see the queue of cars behind him at the moment. This is where it's advantageous for an undercut for any of these guys. This is where they might think, is it worth going for the undercut? Not yet. Round about lap 8 or 9 I think is when we will see the first pit stops. I'll be surprised if we get any earlier than that. But DRS open on Paulie Orange's car now as he tries to sweep past the AlphaTauri of Jonathan Cox. Goes to the outside. Jonathan trying his best to try and hold on there, but Paulie Orange will have the inside for the next part of the chicane. They've squeezed each other ever so slightly. You know what Jonathan's like. He's gonna give you a car's width and absolutely no more, and it's going to be your challenge to try and fight him. He's running out of ERS though. Paulie Orange inside for the next chicane. That should be a fairly straightforward move then. The Haas driver up into second place, and Gelato able to take advantage of a compromise line from the AlphaTauri. That's 2 places lost in 2 corners. Gelato now up into second. It was a short lasted second place though. He ran wide into the first Lesmo. That allowed Jonathan Cox to fight back. They've both got DRS on the way out, but I don't think Jonathan's got a lot of ERS, if I'm being perfectly honest, so Gelato might be able to have a chance here. No, he just backs off, and KRC dropping back from Droftas as well. All that battling has allowed Paulie Orange to already get a 1-second lead on these guys, and if he's outside of DRS range, that is going to be absolutely crucial for him in this race. Battle for the final point. The lead cars at the moment that started on the mediums as Noble nearly has a big moment there on the back of Cruxy. Cruxy, of course, retiring in qualifying, and if we see the position changes because of all that was what's happened, quite a few gains. Energetic 6 up a few places as Gelato works his way past Jonathan Cox. We'll go back to the battle then for second and third. You can see the position changes there. Cruxy up 8, Energetic 6 up 6. Biggest losers, Immortal and Alan, both losing 9 places. Long way to go though. Always still a chance of points, and despite all those penalties and all that chaos on lap 1, you've still got all 19 runners in this race, and Paulie Orange definitely getting away at this moment in time. You can see there 1.3 seconds ahead of Gelato. Just got the Renault in the background, the Renault who won last time around at Belgium, a track not too dissimilar to this, although you do need a bit more high-speed grip at Belgium because of the high-speed corners. Eau Rouge, Radillon, Blanchimont, Pouhon obviously really testing the downforce of a car. Here you can go for a bit more of a straightforward top speed setup and sort of ignore everything else. Running a bit wide there. Sometimes the game lets you get away with that, but sometimes it doesn't. You don't want to pick up too many penalties in this early stages. That's another pit lane speeding penalty for the Williams of Lost Souls, and that is the end of his race. We have our first retirement then. A shame to see retirement in the pit lane, but we are down to 18 drivers then. Jonathan Cox really struggling at this moment in time by the looks of things. He's got the DRS, but he's dropped a second back behind Gelato at the moment. He could soon be coming under pressure from Droftas and KRC. This is not ideal at all. Last time around, Gelato, fastest man on the circuit. Great lap from him to set that fastest lap of the race. Still the gap though to Paulie Orange is about a second as Etheridge gets a penalty, and Ferg down the inside of Noble takes 11th place. So he's now got himself involved in this 10th place battle all of a sudden, showing a bit of pace. Can he get up into the points? Can he maybe then maybe start thinking about attacking some of those drivers who started on the soft tyres. These on the mediums, probably you will see them go to a set of hards. They might think about stretching it though to a set of soft tyres at the end of this race. Depends how well they're managing the tyres. They've all got the fresh tyres. Those higher up the order, like Gelato, might find themselves losing a bit more grip, and that is why Gelato has just got himself a 3-second penalty, and Mars gets one as well, and KRC and Droftas now battling their way down towards the Parabolica. KRC works his way ahead. He's up into 4th, and while all these guys are battling, it's just giving Jonathan Cox a bit of breathing space that he needs. Pretty decent performance from Ole at the moment in 6th place. Droftas trying to come back though. No ERS. You will see a lot of ERS usage around this circuit. KRC flying up to the back of Jonathan Cox, trying to fly his way down the inside of the junior car. Jonathan going in a bit deep there, and this might just give KRC the exit that he needs. Can he use that electrical energy from the Honda engine in the Red Bull? Equal performance, of course, so doesn't really make any difference whatsoever. Is he close enough to go down the inside into Rogier? No, he's not. Droftas not able to battle either. So much action going on, so many battles throughout the field, but Paulie Orange and Gelato just seem to be stretching their way ahead. Paulie Orange now 1.6 ahead of Gelato, who himself is around 1.6 seconds ahead of Jonathan Cox, and Ferg really showing some good pace through the Rogier chicane, takes that 10th position. Shame that he has a penalty, and that could cost him. He's now 6 seconds behind Gods and Mars, who are on the soft tyres, but that gap will start to come down. You'd expect now the medium tyres that started this race will be better than those on the soft that started this race as well. And Cruxy on the back of Ferg on the run down towards Ascari, straight forward down the inside with the DRS. In the end, Ferg has to give up. Not the best line though from Cruxy there, and that's allowed Noble to get himself involved in this battle. Could he get 2 cars in one go here? Fantastic opportunistic driving from the McLaren round the outside of one, down into Parabolica, takes 10th position, but Ferg's going to have the DRS this time around. I don't think he's going to need the DRS because Noble's made a slight mistake there. And even with that DRS, that is going to allow Ferg to take 10th place, although Cruxy, of course, is now coming back forward, so he might be able to get 2 cars in one go here. Only battling for the final point at the moment is not allowing them to catch up to those ahead who are potentially on slower tyres at this moment in time. But it's absolutely great to see as they're now going side by side from Kerr the Grande here. Who's going to be able to yield? Ferg is on the racing line, but he's not got enough of his car alongside to really try anything on the brakes, and Cruxy gets that 10th position back after all that battling. Pretty much how they started the lap before. KRC not hounding Jonathan Cox at the moment as Droftas now picks up a penalty. Oh, Gelato's out. Gelato has had a big one through Ascari and another virtual safety car. Saw 2 drivers lose it there in qualifying. One of them was the other Renault of Energetic 6, and now it is Gelato out of the race. The winner from Belgium will be scoring no points here. I said he still had a slim chance of winning the championship. That has got even slimmer, and that is the cue for a lot of these drivers to get rid of their soft tyres and not quite get a free pit stop. I mean, they might get lucky and they might get a free pit stop. We're going to see hards going on most of these. Well, no, actually, only Paulie Orange going for the hard tyres. Jonathan Cox, KRC and Ole all going for the mediums, and they have basically got a cheap pit stop out of that. Droftas staying out on circuit in the lead of this race now by around 17 seconds, but he will drop behind them all. Oh, drive-through penalty there for Paulie Orange for speeding under the virtual safety car. His chances of the win have just gone completely out of the window. Like Hamilton got the penalty in the real-life Italian Grand Prix, it is a penalty for Paulie Orange. He must serve it in the next 3 laps or he will be disqualified. And all of a sudden, that man, the championship leader Jonathan Cox, is in the pound seats again, you've got to say, for a race win. The 2 drivers ahead of him, one of them crashed, the other Paulie Orange gets a penalty, and as long as he can cleanly wake his way through this traffic, he's looking good. Cleanly making your way through the traffic though, when they've got DRS as well, is a lot easier said than done, and we've seen how determined Cruxy, Ferg and Noble all are to keep hold of their positions in this race. So 3 cars between Paulie Orange and Jonathan Cox at the moment, who's had a big moment there, coming through Ascari, and that now allows KRC to get the move done in the Red Bull. He takes 6th place. Jonathan Cox dropping back down into 7th. You got Ole just behind, just calmly sitting there, running his own race at the moment. If he keeps it clean, he might get some points, and Paulie Oven speeds in the pit lane as well. To add insult to injury here as KRC makes his way past Noble. He's up into 4th. Cruxy finds his way back, getting passed by Ferg. So that is the AlphaTauri into 2nd place there. KRC gets the move done on Noble. He is now into 4th, and Jonathan Cox will be thinking about trying to get this move done pretty quickly, as well as, oh, Treminator out of the race. Is that another victim of Ascari? It looks like it is, and that is a full safety car. And one man who's going to be absolutely, can't believe his luck at the moment, is our current race leader, Droftas. There is now a full safety car. Everyone else has got a cheap pit stop, and Denge, 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. Droftas is pretty much getting a free pit stop here. Everyone now driving to the Delta times that they have to, of course, that they are told to do. Droftas 23 seconds ahead of the next car. It's about that time for a pit stop under normal conditions, under safety car conditions. He's going to lose a lot less time. He's going to come out in the lead of this race on fresher tyres than everyone else. He has got a penalty though at this moment in time, a 3-second penalty, but this is going to be fairly straightforward for him. Our 3rd retirement of this race, the 2nd one at Ascari. This is what I said about the penalties. They're going to start backing up for a few of these drivers, and you're really going to regret having some. Right, are we going to see Ferg and Cruxy coming to the pits? Indeed we do. Pit lane speeding penalty for Ferg, a very tricky. To all these drivers' credit, you might be wondering, we aren't seeing a lot of penalties here. Why is that? It's a very difficult pit lane entry. If you brake when the game tells you you're coming into the pit lane, it is too late. You are not getting slowed down in time. So you do need to judge it a bit better, perhaps, than you do at some of the other circuits. That is why we are seeing so many penalties. And after all of that, Droftas, who looked as though he would possibly drop behind Ole after choosing not to pit under the virtual safety car, he's got a bit lucky. Treminator's had an incident. Fortune favours the Dave in the case of Droftas. And there we go. He has been able to pit under the full safety car. He's had a free pit stop. He's got fresher tyres in those behind, and he might need that, as we are going to check what the penalty situation now looks like for some of these drivers. And there we go. Etheridge on 6 and Denge on 5. So if I was Andenge, I would be thinking about coming into the pits sooner rather than later, because you can serve a penalty under the virtual safety car, well, under the full safety car, which is definitely something that needs looking at, Codemasters. There's no way that should be legal, but it is. Got KLC 2nd, Jonathan Cox in 3rd, Ole 4th, God's 5th, Fatality. Fatality in 6th in the Ferrari. Mars just ahead of his teammate Cruxy. Noble in 9th, Ferg dropping back behind these guys, and look at Alan in 11th place. Does have another pit stop to make, and I wonder if any of these drivers are thinking about maybe coming in this time around just to get a free pit stop under the safety car. If he's got another set of medium tyres, he'll come out behind Energetic 6, but he should, I think, well, he'll probably be behind his teammate Orange and Etheridge as well, but it's definitely worth a shot for Alan to get rid of those medium tyres and get yourself a free pit stop. And there we go. Oh, Noble and Ferg crashing into each other on the way into the pit lane. That is not ideal, and you can see there, 5-second penalty. That will be for both of them. It is all happening here in this race, and they won't be able to serve it at this pit stop. Noble going onto the mediums, a wise choice to get that compulsory lap on the soft tyres out of the way. And this is just bringing all these drivers back into play, and as I said, Alan will come out behind a few of them, and Denge deciding to stay out again. I'm not sure why you wouldn't just get rid of your penalty at this moment in time. He's in 13th place. It's an ideal time to get rid of that 5-second penalty under a safety car. If the game lets you do it, why not do it? And Denge in 13th, Alan in 12th. They're 2nd and 3rd in the championship, whereas the man leading the championship is in 3rd. Jonathan Cox, the man who started 2nd, is in 3rd place. The pole sitter, Paulie Orange, lost the lead, then retook the lead, then a drive-through penalty for speeding under the virtual safety car really scuppered his chances, but this full safety car might bring him back into play. Grofdas, though, leading the race after moment. He didn't pit under the VSC, all the others did. He was the only driver who could really take advantage of this full safety car, which looks, well, I say it looks like it's staying out for another lap. I have seen the game go quite late on the safety car calls here, so we'll just have to wait and see what happens. We've got Immortal coming around the second Lesmo now, whereas the rest of the field is coming out of Parabolica, so I think we will get one more lap under the safety car. That pretty much confirms it. We are getting a one more lap under the safety car then. So Grofdas, KRC, Jonathan Cox, Ole, Gods, Fatality, Mars, Cruxy, Paulie Orange, Etheridge, Noble, Alan, Andenge, Energetic 6, Ferg and Immortal. Drivers who I think might struggle ever so slightly. Fatality and Cruxy on those hard tyres could just find it ever so slightly difficult. Then the mediums will now comfortably make it towards the end. If you want older mediums, you might struggle a bit more with tyre warm-up, so that will give our race leader a slight advantage over those behind and could give Noble and Alan an advantage over some of the cars around them. So Alan's disastrous start to the race, it's fair to say he had an absolute nightmare of a start. It's not worked out terribly in the end. It has not worked out terribly. He's in 13th. Sorry, he's in 12th place at the moment on lap 13. I just completely confusing myself there. He's in 12th place, lap 13. Had a bad start, got no penalties though. And we know he's a quick driver and can just work his way back up the order. And I think he'll be happy with pretty much whatever result he gets in this race. Likewise, Paulie Orange, his teammate, after that penalty speeding under the VSC, got a drive-through penalty, then he got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane. He's had all them removed, so he's on no penalties to be added at the end of the race at the moment, as the safety car is coming in this lap. And Grofdas, it's one of the toughest circuits to get the safety car start right here. You do not want to give all these cars behind you a nice lovely slipstream heading up towards turn 1 at the Rettifilio chicane. You want to make sure you are not having to defend into that chicane, and to do that you've got to get the restart absolutely perfect. Image and Noble getting themselves 5-second penalties. A bit awkward conversation to come in the McLaren garage later on, as it looks like we're going racing again. Grofdas has put the hammer down. KRC though has managed to go with him here. We are racing then, 14 laps remaining. Could Grofdas be forced to defend here into turn 1? It looks like he's just covered off KRC for now. Jonathan Cox is in 3rd, Ole 4th, Gods a bit further back in 5th. Can't see too many moves looking like they're happening down the field at the moment, apart from Andenge on the inside of Alan. He lost 2nd place to the Haas driver at the last round of the championship at least. Andenge now up into 12th as he looks to regain that and rekindle his chances of winning the championship. These guys probably can't afford to be scoring no points if Jonathan Cox gets a podium this time around. A much better exit for Cruxy than his teammate CRX Mars down the inside. I said he might struggle on those hard tyres. It looks as though he's actually going to gain a place up into 7th for Cruxy. He's got Fatality up ahead of him as well. Ole on the back of Jonathan Cox at the moment. He's had a nice quiet race, and Denge picks up another time penalty for multiple warnings. He's got 8 seconds to be added onto his time at the end of the race. That will cost him if we do have another safety car, but it is Grofdas still leading, KRC in 2nd, Ole pushing as hard as he can, earning himself a warning at least, I imagine, on the back of Jonathan Cox at this moment in time, as CRX Mars looks at his teammate in the background there, looks to try and find his way past Cruxy. He's probably compromised his line ever so slightly. Paulie Orange might be saying thank you very much. He's pretty much bump drafting him NASCAR style here down the main straight as they go on to lap 15. He's got the ERS. CRX Mars has the advantage of a slipstream off his teammate though. Paulie Orange with the grip under braking gets that position done with slightly fresher tyres there, just helping Paulie Orange ever so slightly. He is now up into 8th as he tries to recover and think maybe, just maybe, can I earn myself a podium out of this race. Grofdas though I said the fresher tyres might give you a slight advantage on the restart. I wasn't expecting 1.6 seconds after the first few corners. He is flying at the moment. Let's not forget, him and KRC did have similar pace before the first VSC period. They were battling each other on track, and KRC was actually ahead. So I think a lot of this must be just a better tyre warm-up from Droftas, and he's able to use those slightly fresher tyres. And if he keeps it clean, needs to extend to 3 seconds ahead though, let's not forget. He could well find himself taking a great victory here as Andenge has now worked his way past. Oh, and Noble's off circuit. Noble is off the circuit. I was about to say Andenge has just worked his way past Noble. That could be why he has gone off the circuit. Cruxy then been passed by Paulie Orange, so Orange now up into 7th, catching up to Fatality. DRS will be enabled, so they'll be able to use it again into Ascari next time around, and then down the main straight as well. But can Paulie Orange, does he need DRS? Could he just try and do it with the ERS? He's a bit far back to think about a move on Fatality. Even Daniel Ricciardo would have second thoughts about that one. Energetic 6 trying to close up onto the back of Alan and Andenge. Those all gaining places after Noble's off, and after a promising start to this race for Noble, he's going to serve his penalty. It's not gone to plan now as Paulie Orange up into 6th place, gets his way past Fatality. Good job from him. God's there with a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Not what you want when you're currently in 5th place. You always want to be keeping it nice and clean if you can, ideally, and he could soon be finding himself under pressure from Paulie Orange, who will be hoping to get himself up onto the back of that top 4 battle if he is able to. At the moment, Droftas and KRC, well, Droftas has just escaped from KRC. You can see the Haas up the road, the Alfa Romeo up the road, sorry, on the Red Bull's camera there. There's the AlphaTauri of Jonathan Cox, not exactly hounded as, oh, and Denge makes a mistake coming out of Ascari. That allows Alan past, it allows Energetic 6 past, it allows Ferg past, so the Williams, he had a nightmare qualifying, and the race seems to be going the same way as well. He has lost a position. Gods has lost a position to Paulie Orange, who is absolutely flying past these cars at the moment. It's like he's driving in a different formula at this moment in time. He is absolutely loving life. He goes up into 5th place. Ferg has to think about getting past Energetic 6. And of course, the mistake of Andenge does mean Alan is now 11th. 1 place off the points. That's Etheridge ahead of him with a 11 seconds, I should say, of penalties. Mars has 3 seconds, and Gods and Droftas also have 3 seconds at this moment in time. But for Droftas, he's nearly 2.5 seconds already ahead of KRC. As long as he doesn't get any more penalties, it's tough to see how he ends up not winning this race unless we get any safety cars or anything like that. It's flown by even with the safety car and the virtual safety car. We've only got 10 laps to go at the end of this one as we go on board with our championship leader Jonathan Cox. Looks good to extend that lead in the championship at this moment in time. As things stand, if the race finished as it is at the moment, Jonathan Cox would be a lovely for him 50 points ahead in this championship on Alan. Paulie Orange would be looking very good as well, actually. He'd be moving a bit closer to Total Peace and Denge and Alan, and really putting himself in a shot of being a big challenger towards the end of this season. He's already going to get 4 bonus points if he finishes this race. It looks like he wants an extra one as Cruxy gets his way past Fatality. Alan getting his way past Etheridge in the background as well. And Energetic 6 battling with Andenge and Ferg here. How's it going to go? 3 cars trying to get into 1 at the Betafilio chicane. And in the end, Ferg stays ahead. Energetic 6 in 13th, Andenge in 14th with Immortal, who had a big incident on lap 1. We saw him lose most of his front wing, and it was that debris that caused the full safety car. Immortal just hanging around in 15th place at the moment and earning himself the time penalty. Noble with the fastest lap of the race. Probably not too surprising at the moment, but you can see how much Paulie Orange is starting to catch up. He's nearly got within a second of Ole already, and as soon as he hooks to within a second, that is going to be a big help for the Haas driver. And we've already seen him make some moves on some of these others. He is within a second at the moment. Fatality gets himself his first penalty. Paulie Orange can stay within a second. Don't discount him for a shot at a podium here. And with the penalties, don't discount him for a shot of the win, as Mars makes his way past Fatality. Fatality's able to get the move done back once again. And here you've got Alan trying to work his way past as well. Looks like we're going 3 wide on lap 19 down towards the first chicane here. Mars just ahead of the Ferrari. Alan not able to get himself alongside. Fatality fighting back though on Mars at the moment, who's had a compromised line, and that might allow Alan to just try and sneak his Haas underneath the rear wing. Alan nearly losing his front wing in all of that. He's had to have a big lift off the throttle, and now Etheridge is going to try and go all the way around the outside of him into Curva Grande to get the inside for the Rogier chicane. And this could see Etheridge getting up into 10th. In the end though, he has to back out. Energetic 6 is coming to the pits to put the soft tyres on. Possible run at the fastest lap. It is worth it. You don't have to finish in the top 10 to get that fastest lap point. You just have to finish the race, so definitely worth going for. I said we'd see a lot of penalties as Andenge picks up another one, and KRC, that's an important one for the lead of this race. KRC now picks up a penalty. If the race finished now, Jonathan Cox would take the victory. Said he hasn't had a win since Canada. This would be a big step towards his championship. If he ends up taking the win, he'll be 60 points ahead. Still 7 rounds remaining, but with no one really showing fantastic form, looking like they're going to win 3 or 4 races in a row, a 60-point lead is quite a big lead to have, especially if you're wanting to become the first champion here at late night racing. Alan on the back then of Mars for 10th place, or 9th and 10th place I should say, at this moment in time. Every point Alan can get is just a point to each into Jonathan Cox's gap, as Ferg down the inside of Etheridge takes that 11th place. And you've got Andenge and Immortal trying to make sure they stay involved in this battle as well. The midfield and the lower sections of the point seem to be providing most of the action at the moment. Andenge tries to go around the outside of Etheridge, definitely thinks about it. Bit of a nightmare day at the moment for the Williams driver. Needs to try and bounce back next time around, where it will be a full night race, of course, at the Singapore Grand Prix, as Noble makes his way past Energetic 6. These guys would want to be going for the fastest lap. At the moment, though, they're too busy just battling over 15th and 16th place, and Energetic 6 wins out for that battle. For now, he's going to have a McLaren, though, all over the back of him. He's going to have a McLaren going down the inside at Curva Grande and taking that 50th place. Energetic 6 thinks about going the long way round into the chicane, isn't able to do so, and has to stay in what is 16th and last place, after we saw Treminator and Gelato get it wrong in separate incidents at Ascari and lost souls retire in the pits early on. And Paulie Orange makes his way up into 4th place. He has got that Haas set up absolutely beautifully in a straight line. He's up into 4th, and if he gets Jonathan Cox, he could look like be taking the race win, as his teammates also making some moves. Alan up into 9th, Energetic 6 just picking up a penalty. Only Alan, Jonathan Cox, Paulie Orange and Ole without a penalty at the moment. Well, with about 6 of those penalties being picked up on lap 1, to be perfectly fair. It was an absolutely manic first lap, and Paulie Orange is really closing up to the back of Jonathan Cox at this moment in time. I don't know if he knows about the penalty situation, but if he gets ahead of Jonathan Cox and stays within 3 seconds of Droftas, he's just about within that 3 seconds at this moment in time. You can see there how close it would be. He will take the win of this race. If the race finished now, he'd be looking at 2nd or 3rd place. So needs to try and work his way past Jonathan Cox and maybe just give himself a well-deserved win from pole position, as Mars and Ferg are side by side going through Ascari. Mars with the big loser out of that, and now he's going to have Etheridge trying to make his way past in the McLaren to get up into 11th place. Mars just holding on to that for now. Droftas is on to lap 22 of this race, and 6 laps remaining for the leaders. Alan in 9th. Can he soon make it 8th place, getting past Fatality, who is on the hard tyres? Fatality himself, though, of course, has the DRS, and that's going to make it a bit harder for him to do so. 7th, 8th and 9th. 7th, probably the best Alan can hope for out on track. There is the penalty situation then. Everyone in the top 10, apart from Ferg, who has penalties, has 3 seconds. Ferg has 5 seconds, but with every car behind him having penalties, if he can get a couple of seconds ahead of Immortal, who at the moment, despite being 13th, Immortal not looking too bad to sneak a point in that Mercedes, which would be a very nice result for him, after, it's fair to say, a terrible first lap, and would actually be his first points of the season as well. These two still battling, Energetic 6 and Noble. It's over 15th and 16th, but they are really fighting tooth and nail at the moment. It's great to see the battles all the way through the field. And Noble comes off best out of that one. Etheridge coming out best, along with himself and CRX Max. And both cars going up a position on that lap for the McLaren team. They're now 11th and 15th, although Noble perhaps pushing himself just a bit too hard at the moment. 5 laps remaining then. Droftas leading by 2 seconds over KRC. Both of those have a 3-second penalty. So as it stands now, Jonathan Cox would just take the victory. Paulie Orange, after qualifying on pole, after a drive-through penalty though, is sniffing a chance all over the back of the AlphaTauri at the moment. You've got Ole not too far behind either. This has been a great result from Ole in the Ferrari. He's 10th in the championship at the moment. He could find himself moving up, possibly even into 8th place. As it stands, that's not the best line there through the chicane from Jonathan Cox, and that might have given Paulie Orange a chance, but he wasn't able to get enough of his nose alongside to really do anything about it. And I think something's happened with Etheridge and CXR Mars, because all of a sudden Andenj and Immortal have got ahead of the pair of them. So Andenj is now up into 11th, but with lots of penalties. Immortal is 12, not quite as many. Never turn your eye away for a bit here, because you never know what is going to happen. KRC's getting away from Jonathan Cox ever so slightly here. And Paulie Orange is sensing an opportunity to think about going down the inside, taps the back of Jonathan Cox's car. Now, who's going to get the better exit here? The Haas has got an absolutely fantastic exit. They're both very low on ERS, and this could be a race-winning move from Paulie Orange onto lap 24, down the inside. And unfortunately for Jonathan Cox, his path to try and fight back is going to be blocked by the Red Bull of KRC. And there we go. Jonathan's nearly lost it, and that's going to give Ole a chance to get a good run out of the chicane as well. Can he get his way past Jonathan Cox into the Rogier chicane? Looking low on the ERS to pair for them. And the more these guys keep battling as Paulie Orange thinks about a move on KRC, the more likely it looks that Droftas could end up taking the win here. He's more than 3 seconds ahead of these guys now. That could change everything, as Alan has been passed by CGM Ferg, who is still fighting hard, and you can't say you blame him. Alan now back down to 10th with penalties though. Can't see him being particularly bothered about that. He's still on to take a 7th position as things stand, as long as he keeps it clean. As Paulie Orange gets his way past KRC into Ascavi, he is flying at this moment in time. Paulie Orange is into second, and Denjem gets himself another penalty, and Jonathan Cox now trying to work his way round the outside on KRC. Watch these final 3 laps then for Paulie Orange. It is a time trial for him to get within 3 seconds and to get this victory here. Jonathan Cox on the inside slightly with KRC, and it just looks as though he hasn't got the straight line speed. Both of the drivers have got DRS. Jonathan Cox is going to have a slightly stronger slipstream here onto lap 25. There's a bit of tapping and a bit of wheel banging between the two of them. Down the inside goes the AlphaTauri. He gets that move done. He is up into 3rd place, and Ole and KRC are now bashing wheels as well. Ole just getting caught out on the grass ever so slightly. KRC really dropping back after that incident. He's now in 4th. Jonathan Cox is in 3rd. Can him and Paulie Orange drag each other up to catch up to Droftas 4 seconds ahead, but with a 3-second penalty? You can guarantee all 3 of them will be pushing as hard as possible. It looks like they'll be the 3 on the podium. In which order though is definitely still up in the air for now. Is Ole close enough to KRC to really think about having a go here? No, he is not. And all of a sudden, further down for 6th and 7th place, it just looks as though Gods is ever so slightly dropping back. He should still be safe from Cruxy, Fatality, Ferg and Alan, as it looks like Noble and Energetic 6 are still battling over that 15th and 16th place. I think their point of view at the end of the race is going to be one to make sure we check out, as they go again side by side into the Rogier chicane. Noble now retaking that 15th place. They were definitely hoping for fastest lap, but they've spent far too much time having fun overtaking each other to really, I think, care about the fastest lap at the moment. On board then with Immortal. This battle for 11th and 12th at the moment, just for pride. as it stands. As CRX Mars comes into the pits, Immortal trying to close into the back of Andenge. Can't quite get close enough with 2 laps to go, but will finish ahead of Andenge after penalties. It's just whether Immortal can drag himself up far enough to maybe take advantage of some of the ones Ferg and Fatality have. It all seems to have calmed down at the front of the field, apart from maybe Paulie Orange's pace at the moment. And judging by the yellow light on the fuel gauge, he needs to calm down if he doesn't want to run out of fuel. He's 3.2 seconds behind Droftas at the moment, so that's a net 0.3 seconds. Jonathan Cox has dropped back ever so slightly. He's settling for what looks to be a 3rd place, which will extend his championship lead. He had a big moment though, coming from Ascari. This might be the opportunity that KRC needs to get the manoeuvre done. And no, he's not able to close up enough as well. So, final lap of the race. Droftas then crosses the line. He is 3.1 seconds ahead of Paulie Orange. This is going to come down right to the wire. Noble and Energetic 6 are at it once again. They do not stop battling each other. KRC is in 4th place, thinks about a move on Jonathan Cox, decides better of it for now. Ferg not really under any pressure for Aylan, not putting Fatality under any pressure. Cruxy getting away on those hard tyres, which have done better than I thought. I thought they'd drop down a bit more at the start of this race. Still, Energetic 6 and Nolan are going at it, and I think that is probably the end of their battle there. Noble jumping over the curve, managing to keep hold of the car, probably getting a bit of an advantage, and stay close to Energetic 6. So maybe I spoke a bit prematurely about this battle going for 15th and 16th place as they enter the final lap of the race. Noble is pushing like crazy at the moment, nearly losing the car. That is a penalty then for Immortal, and here we go. Noble with the DRS, straight down the inside for what seems like the 10th time in a row. Gets that position. KRC with another penalty. That's going to easily drop him down behind Ole. Not like there was any doubt as Droftas heads around the final corner. He's going to take the checkered flag in first, but I think, crucially, Paulie Orange is just managed to get close enough through the final few corners. It's a win on track for Droftas. Paulie Orange takes it on penalties though. Jonathan Cox will finish in 3rd. Ole up to 4th. KRC is 5th. Gods 6th. Cruxy is 7th. Fatality 8th. Berg goes down to 10th as Aylan. Damage limitation job in the end, recovers to 7th place, so only losing 9 places. Points in the championship, I should say, to Jonathan Cox. Berg with the final point. We see Immortal is 11th, Andenge 12th, Etheridge 13th, Mars still to come around. He will be finishing in 14th place, and the fastest lap has gone to Noble then, so he will be getting that bonus point for the fastest lap. So I suppose that's something for some of the others to maybe count themselves lucky about. Mars comes across the line, tried to get that fastest lap at the end. He is 14th, and Noble will be 15th. Energetic 6th final finisher, but a fantastic pole and victory for Paulie Orange. Do not write this man out of the championship just yet. 29 points today for the Haas driver, and he takes the victory. Cruxy getting driver of the day there, and I'm just quickly trying to work out in my head. I think those points for Paulie Orange, he'll have jumped Andenge in the championship. So the Haas drivers, Aylan and Paulie Orange, are now 2-3. No wonder they're looking so good in the constructors, but can they work together to stop Jonathan Cox? His 15 points mean he now has a 44-point lead in the championship over Aylan, with Paulie Orange all of a sudden being 49 points off the lead. It is really closing up as we head towards the next few rounds of this LNR Championship. With those were your top 3. Ole, with a very clean result, finishes in 4th. KRC was 5th. Gods in 6th. Good job from him in the Alfa Romeo. Only scored 9 points all season. He's got himself another 8 there now. Aylan recovered well to 7th, keeping it clean, gained him a few places. Cruxy, Fatality and Ferg were the final finishers. First point of the season for Ferg, who reserves in the AlphaTauri. Immortal just missing out, and Dunge. Bit of a nightmare day for the Swedes, really. Him and Etheridge 12th and 13th. Mars is 14th. Noble 15th. Energetic 6 was the final finisher. So Treminator and Gelato lose it coming through Ascari. What could have been, especially for Gelato. He was showing some supreme pace and lost Sowells is the first retirement, and we saw him retire in the pit lane. And I'm going to be honest, Jonathan, it didn't look like there was a lot smooth about that race with some of the action. It was very exciting, very fast-paced, and it was Paulie Orange who took a victory. He is going to be absolutely delighted with that. Can he carry it forward, though, for the final few races of the season? The flyaways start again. We've got 2 more races before we have a break for Christmas. Russia in 2 weeks' time, but before that, and next weekend, same time, same place, will be round 16 of the championship, the Singapore Grand Prix. Who is going to delight under the lights at Singapore? Jonathan Cox saying, smooth regarding pens. You kept it clean. Didn't gain you any places, but importantly, can't lose any places, so could have gained you some as well. So a very good job to keep it clean. That's what gave Paulie Orange the win. Can he carry on? Will he delight under the lights at Singapore? Or will we see another completely new victory? A great recovery there for Paulie Orange. After a drive-through penalty and a 5-second penalty, he takes the victory. We'll have to wait and see until next time whether he can do the same at Singapore. Will Alan and Andenge recover from a slightly bad race? They'll be hoping for some good job from them as well. Whereas Jonathan Cox just keeps picking up them points and just inches his way closer to maybe getting his hands on the L&R trophy. But for myself, Luke Etheridge, I'll see you next time around. Well, I don't know when I'll see you next. I'm a reserve commentator, are you? I might see you at some point in the future where hopefully the racing will be as good as that. Take care of yourselves and good night.